Welcome, Mircea.
Hello, everybody. As Octavian said, my name is Mircea. I'm part of the Oxygen team for 23 years. And I will try to present you today the new product called Oxygen JSON Editor. This is part of the Oxygen XML suite, so actually all of its functionality is present in the main product, the Oxygen XML Editor, but it is also sold separated for people that want to focus only on JSON and YAML editing. As main features, we have editing, validation, and conversion between JSON and other formats like XML or YAML. We have support for editing, validation, and design for JSON schema. We also support YAML, which will be explained more in the next presentation. Also with editing and validation. We support OpenAPI and AsyncAPI in both variants, JSON and YAML. And also in this editor, you can also edit HTML, CSS. You can have all the comparing tools that you are used to in our Oxygen products. And for the collaborative part, the Git and Subversion client. Editing JSON was made pretty easily. You can edit JSON as text in grid mode, exactly as an XML document, and in author mode. You can be, you are assisted by the outline view, where you can see the document structure. You have validation and content completion based on JSON schema, and you can transform JSON with XSLT, and you will see on the next version also with XQuery. The text editing mode offer exactly like for XML, syntax highlight. Also, it is very useful that after ending brackets, you can see the name of the property that was started here, ended here. See, link. And you also have folding, exactly like on XML. The folds are presented here, and you can fold some parts of the document that you don't want to see at a certain moment. You can format and indent the document if it's not correctly indented, or you want to change the settings for it. You have document templates where you can define how certain JSON documents can be in the beginning, and then start adding information inside them. In the outline view, as I told you, you have a document overview, is fully synchronized with the editor. So if you add or remove text, also the tree will be rebuilt. You can filter, for example, if you want to see only certain properties, you can use the filter field, and then you will see only the properties that matches there. And also errors are also presented here if the schema says there is not good what you entered. Content completion works exactly like for XML documents. It's context sensitive. It offers you valid proposals based on the JSON schema that can be specified for a JSON document. And if you have a document with no schema, you can also be assured that we offer good content completion based on the schema we learned from that document. Also, you can generate a schema from a JSON document if you need it to pass to a certain organization, if you need data from them in a certain format. The grid editing mode, as you know it from XML, looks absolutely the same. Data can be easily manipulated. Also, you have drag and drop or, I don't know, table-specific operations. In the author mode, the JSON document is presented using a CSS, exactly like for XML documents, even if it is not translated into an XML. Using such CSS, you can build your own JSON framework and edit certain documents as it is easy for your organization. What is interesting is that we also offer support for another two versions of JSON. One of that is JSON lines, used mainly, to provide small JSON in a repetitive format, for example, like logs or information from a satellite or whatever. If you associate a schema with that document through a validation scenario, you can also validate the comment of each line and have a content completion for each line with correct proposals. The other supported kind of JSON is the JSON 5. But for this one, we only offer well-formed check and no validation with a schema for the moment. And his main feature is, I don't know, maybe allowing you to, to add comments. Also, the JSON editor includes the YAML support, which will be detailed later in the next presentation. So I'll skip this one. As I told you before, all the JSON documents can have a schema associated. And also you can edit, develop, design, or whatever you want to do with the schema in our product. In text editing mode, we also have auto editing mode, but the main mode that is useful for editing is the design one. In the text editing mode of the JSON editor, you are helped by the outline view. You have specific syntax highlight. You have also the search and find replace, drag and drop, validation, and pretty print. In the auto editing mode, you have a specific framework built in, provided for editing JSON schema with content completion based on the version of the schema you are trying to edit. As you know, there are a lot of variants. We have validation for that, and we also provide specific CSS for rendering it into a nice form. Also, if you want to change it, you can create your own custom framework for editing schema maybe you have other preferences. In the design mode, exactly like for the XML schema, we have in-place component editing. You can edit properties, annotations. You have schema editing actions. You can move components up and down. You have drag and drop. And of course, the schema diagram can also be printed or saved as an image. One of the additional tools for this is we can offer you a tool for generate JSON schema documentation based on the JSON schema file you provide. And the result is published in HTML. Additional tools are mainly based on conversion tools between JSON and XML, JSON and YAML, and of course YAML to XML. As I told you before, you can also generate JSON schema from a JSON instance. We do it in the background when we learn structure for content completion. You can convert from a XML schema to JSON schema also, and you can translate JSON schema files from previous versions to the latest ones. So I think it's pretty complete as a number of actions that you can do. The support of OpenAPI and AsyncAPI documents is also present in this editor. The documents can be written both in JSON and YAML. They have specialized syntax highlight. We validate the content according with the schema of the OpenAPI or AsyncAPI. Of course, the content completion is based on the same schema. You also can have outline view and additional actions. We also provide specialized frameworks for them, for all the versions, that include CSS for rendering them in the author mode. You can edit documentation, you have collapsible sections, and you can change the CSS if you need a different type of rendering. OpenAPI also can be documented with a tool that we provide. The result will be HTML. We also have a tester tool for OpenAPI with a GUI interface. And it helps you to configure the server, the path, the operation, adds parameters, maybe authorization for the request, and then you can run a test scenario for it and see what is good or not in what you intended to do. Other frameworks besides the AsyncAPI and OpenAPI, we have an application form for a sample of JSON. We have JSON schema. We have JSON, JSON LD. In this editor, you also can edit not only JSON documents, but you have limited support for editing also XML documents, JavaScript documents, Markdown, Python, Java, SQL, properties, Dockerfile, PHP. So it's not restricted only to JSON and YAML. But of course, for XML files, you won't have transformations, for example, so you cannot apply style sheets and XQuery. It also includes the comparing part, exactly like the XML editor. You can compare and merge files using two-way or three-way comparison. If you have a versioning system and you want to compare two versions with the ancestor, you also can compare the same way the directories, and you can generate comparison reports in order maybe to send them to, I don't know, a processing engine or whatever. Also includes the versioning system that we offer, the Git client, which is an add-on, as my colleague Bogdan told you earlier, and the Oxygen Subversion client. So, Oxygen JSON Editor is specialized on JSON. It has, we hope, great features that helps you editing JSON, JSON schema, JSON lines file, JSON 5. Is cross-platform, exactly as Oxygen. It can be run on Windows, Linux, macOS, and it has more affordable prices than the whole suite of Oxygen XML editor. As future plans, we'll have in the version 27 JSON transformation with XQuery, and also from 27.1 we managed to perform the XSLT transformation for JSON with documents provided directly to the transformation engine, not only using doc primitives, so you can load them. You don't need any longer to know exactly the location of the document. They can be specified in a transformation scenario. Okay. Also, we hope to improve the OpenAPI and AsyncAPI support. And we think about adding support for ChatGPT fine-tuned files, which is pretty necessary in these days. Any feedback on this is welcome. You also have feedback papers on your desks. And if you have any comments or questions, you can ask me or my colleagues now or during the next days of the conference. Yes, David?
If we have 10,000 rows in array, do you have the scalability features like?
Yes, you can have batch validation, batch transformation for everything.
It's like if you have a very large JSON file,
yeah,
which 10,000 items in a singular JSON array, you know, does it load properly? Is it like
That as well.
yes, we tested with pretty large files. I don't know exactly to tell you the limit, but few mega of in a single document, it's.
Yeah, it should go good on large files, and probably the only thing that can maybe add some memory leaks or some problems with the outline. So in case you have problems loading very large files, you just close the outline and then load the file.
Yeah.
It should go also with the
Exactly. Okay. Anyone?